If you're in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddownstdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 862 now of The Ron and Don Show, and we are back live in the Les Schwab studio.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, coming up on The Ron and Don Show, let's talk about travel hacks, because we're all getting ready to travel this summer. Also, we got to talk a little bit about Pete Rose, because there's some new news about Pete Rose. Yeah. Could he end up, along with shoeless Joe Jackson, in the Hall of Fame? And is it all for naught? Because Pete is no longer with us. He has left the building. Before we get to that, though, let's get to this. Let's talk a little baseball. And as you know, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see that I'm ready for a baseball game, right? Why don't you tell the people that are listening to the podcast right now, Ron, what Don of the Ron and Don is wearing?
I hope that this is nothing personal, so do not strike me when I say this. Don is wearing the worst Seattle Mariner uniform ever invented.
Oh, you're kidding.
The black pants with the super dark shirt. It's the worst look. Both games that I've been to this year, they had that uniform on, and I despise this uniform. I am a Mariner, the classic gray or the teal.
Yep.
Like those ones are great. The light colored pants I like. Dark black pants on a baseball team reminds me of like the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1978.
Yep.
I don't think it's a good look, but
Kent Colby, the sidearm guy, Reggie Jackson, you didn't like that Pirate team?
Reggie Jackson wasn't on the Pirates. Reggie Jackson was on the A's and the Yankees.
No, he played for the Pirates.
Reggie Jackson? You're talking Willie Stargell played on that team.
Is that right?
But this is their new alternate uniform.
Matt off the mic.
People seem to like it, but it hasn't landed with me yet.
Yeah, I might be thinking Willie Stargell. Matt, can you check real quick?
Reggie Jackson, I believe,
He was never a Pirate?
He was an A and a Yankee.
That was it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Kansas City, Oakland Athletics, Baltimore Orioles, New York Yankees, and California Angels.
Okay.
Thank you, Reggie.
No. Anyway, I was thinking of Willie Stargell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it back. I decided, hey, the Mariners on a tear right now. They've won 9 series in a row. They haven't done that since 2001.
It's been fun.
I'm going to pack up my son, one of his best friends. We're going to go to a ball game. And in fact, I look at Game Time. You can buy the tickets at the same time. Here's the thing about Game Time they don't tell you. When you buy the $18 ticket on Game Time, which I don't really buy $18 tickets, I'm like, hey, I'm a little bit older now. I can't see. I'd like to be a little closer. So I think my tickets were like $68 a piece. So I bought 3 tickets for us. And I'm like, how did the total, and you do the math, $68 a piece, 3 seats, very good seats. Lot of people in town.
Some would say the best seats.
Yes, a lot of
seats.
people in town from Canada. Not as many people come from Blue Jay.
I got a new app for you. I can cut right to the chase on this.
So anyway, the fee per ticket is like $98. Like the ticket's $68, but the fee for the ticket is like $98 that you pay.
There's a new app out called TickPix.
Okay.
And it's all included. So you don't have to rigmarole with the fees. And so you just go out there, you find your ticket price, you know exactly what it's going to be. They don't charge you at the end where you've gone through the entire checkout process and you're like, well, I guess I got to hit buy.
The fees were more than the actual tickets.
Yeah, I'll show you the app when we're done
so
with
we get there. We're like almost $300 in on tickets. We go down there in an Uber.
At least concessions
which is
are cheap.
super cheap these days. So it's about $100 because we had to pick up his friend. So now we're in like $400. Then we decide, you know what we're going to do, because we won 9 series straight, is we're going to go buy some Mariner gear.
At the stadium?
Yeah. So guess what this sweatshirt costs that I have on
bet that
my
sweatshirt
Mariner sweatshirt that you don't like.
Is at least $99.
This was $120, and then with the tariffs, it was $180. This is a $180 sweatshirt. And
they had the tariffs on the sweatshirts?
Yeah, what do you think this hat costs?
Hats are expensive nowadays.
I left the price tag on.
Well, now that you just mentioned the tariffs, I think they're normally $39.99.
Look at that. I left it on.
$45.
$45. Now I got tariffed Mariner gear because everything's made in China. I took pictures when I went to George Washington's house last year, and I was checking things out, like at Valley Forge. All that stuff that's in the gift shop, and I took pictures of all that. I've never posted it. Now I have to. All that stuff is made in China.
So what?
All the American flags there. They got American chocolate there. They got like an American memorial you can buy of George's tomb made of white chocolate. All that stuff is made in China.
So all in, what's a decent seat at a baseball game for?
Hang on, I'm not even done yet. So then we're there, and then I made the idea that, hey, I'll buy my son something, and your friend, he's never been to a baseball game, I'll buy him gear. We get out of the gear shop. Now I've spent another $400 at the gear shop. So I'm heading quickly toward $1,000, and we haven't even stopped for food yet. I tell the guys, hey, because they always eat well, get whatever you want, as much as you want.
Oh wow, that's a huge mistake.
Boy, was that a mistake! I didn't know
for one sitting.
I didn't know that two boys could sit down and eat 10 packages of Cracker Jack. They had multiple pizza, and they weren't They were eating everything. And every inning they would go up there and they're like, "Really? We can get whatever we want."
You said
and I'm like,
all
yeah.
you can eat for the whole game.
For the whole game.
That's a huge mistake.
It was
Have you met your son?
It was a huge
He
mistake.
can put away some food.
So now I'm up about $1,200. I haven't even paid for the ride home. But here's the thing: we're losing. We're playing Montreal. You know, we're not getting along with the Canadians, but we sang their national anthem and everyone clapped. And
We're getting along with the Canadians.
Yeah, everyone was getting along.
Yeah.
Not as usually that place is packed with Canadian. There were more Canadian fans there though than there were Mariner fans, which is weird to me because it's like, hey, we're on this 9-game
Is this
streak.
versus Toronto? I don't think Montreal has a team anymore.
What'd I say?
You said
It's the
Montreal.
Blue Jays.
That's Toronto.
Yeah, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Montreal is now the
Yeah, and I didn't even know
the
where
Washington.
I didn't even know where. I think Reggie
I'm pretty
Jackson.
sure Reggie Jackson was a Montreal Expo. The Montreal is now the Nationals, I
Anyway,
believe.
so we're losing. We're just all our pitchers are. It's bad. Like all the pitchers are down. We're losing, and then I get up to go get something for me to eat, and I think it's Cal Raleigh hits a home run, and now my son sends me a text message. He's like, "You cannot come back to the seats," and I'm like, "Why is that?" He goes, "It's bad luck." He goes, "It's good luck."
We're on
It's
a
good
on a
luck.
rally.
I was in almost, sometimes you go to the baseball game and you're like, I don't really want to take a dump here and I don't want to hover. You're just hoping you can hang on to everything until you get home. But boy, I had this teriyaki bowl and it was hitting fierce.
You have some
I had to go,
very weird quirks,
yeah,
Mr.
So I had to go in. I got all the new gear on. I go in, I'm hovering. I don't sit down. I don't have an ass gasket, nothing. I go in there, do my thing. And then I'm like, I can't, he's right. I can't go back down there.
Of course you
I
can.
think of the year. No, he's right. I think of the year that I was over at my friend Brian's house, my neighbor, and the Seahawks were about to lose the Super Bowl, and I went to the bathroom. And I went in the bathroom, and the next thing you know, we're on our way to glory. We're not quite there yet. But the Seahawks get it turned around back in 2013 during the Super Bowl, and Brian's like, you cannot come out of the bathroom. And we may have had a few beers. Who knows? He's like, you can't come out. He goes, every time you go to the bathroom, the Seahawks hit a big play, or Marshawn Lynch marches down the field, or Russell Wilson twirls around and throws one of these and pop. And then when you come back out, we start losing again. You cannot come back. So I spent the rest of the Super Bowl in the bathroom, and it wasn't a very nice bathroom. It was just a little powder room. And so here I am, fast forward back to the game. As soon as I walked around the tarmac, I really had nothing else to do. I ate all the Frito pie I could eat. And I'm like, this is dumb being this superstitious. I'm going back to the seats.
You
as
should.
soon as I sit down, what do you think happens?
We won the game.
No! They hit a home run. And my son looks at me and he's like, see, I told you.
Way to go, Boomer.
Yeah. So anyway, I say, well, let's leave early, which you're not supposed to do. But we got up, we left early, and then there was no. Once we had the prime of me leaving, we couldn't get it back. So I'm very superstitious about baseball games. Since then, the Mariners have lost 5 in a row, and it started with me going to that game. And so I don't know what to do. Do I burn this gear? I got a new Seattle Pilot hat.
So hold on. What was the total?
What do you mean?
A baseball game for 3.
Most of a baseball
Most of a baseball game for three with
I would say,
unlimited food.
Yeah, I would say like $1,400.
Wow.
Is what yeah. Which
Last game I went to, I was in the lower bowl, like 31 rows up for $8.
yeah. Well, that's
All in.
that did not happen. Do you have any superstitions though? Like when you go to a ball game?
I don't think that my behavior impacts the game per se, but I do get unnecessarily nervous in situations. And I've been known to put a rally cap on. Do you remember was it 2 years ago or a year? It was like a 17-inning game.
I've never seen you put a rally cap on.
I've
watched a
done
lot
it.
of ball games with you, and that's when you take
I've
your
done-
cap,
put it
and you
inside
turn
out.
I've never seen that.
I've done it before. Only in big games.
Would you
in
put
the
a shoe-
normal games?
A lot of Mariner fans put shoes on their heads.
I don't do the shoe
There were
on my
people
head
putting
thing.
shoes on their heads at the game, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm not putting a shoe on my head.
Yeah, that's pretty stinky.
Yeah. So anyway, I apologize to all the Mariner fans out there, and I want to apologize to Reggie for
Putting him on the Pirates.
putting him on the wrong team. More in a minute.
If you have a friend that is ready to start their real estate journey, send them to ronanddonsitdown.com.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. And while we're talking a little baseball here, let's talk about Pete Rose and the fact that he's dead and in the box. And now he is eligible for the Hall of Fame, along with Shoeless Joe Jackson, who threw the 1919, the 1920 World Series?
1919. Died in 1951.
Somewhere around there. Same time as the flu, right? The flu
So
was-
the baseball commissioner, Rob Manfred, made a landmark decision. He basically said, now that people are dead,
Yep.
they can no longer disrupt the reputation of the game, so they're eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame. And Pete Rose, I think there were 17 players that he gave this to, but obviously the most famous one is Pete Rose. I've for the longest time, back when we were on terrestrial radio and even doing sports radio back in the day, I always thought that Pete Rose as a player versus Pete Rose as a manager is two different things.
or Pete Rose as a person.
Or Pete Rose as a person.
Maybe it's three different
So,
things.
like, whether or not he should be in the Hall of
What
Fame.
about Pete Rose as a swimmer, a manager, a person?
I didn't know his swimming skills.
Maybe he's four different things.
So, but like, could you elect someone as a player and not as a manager? I think that's fine. He was not a great manager, and this is the gambling stuff that he had was when he was a manager. When he was managing the Reds, he gambled on the Reds to win.
Yep.
And of course, it was sacrosanct back then. So I think there's two things going on here. One, I've always believed that Pete Rose, as a player, the hit leader, should have been elected to the Hall of Fame. It has nothing to do with what he did as a manager. And so, and you can go back, there are so many examples. O.J. Simpson is still in the Football Hall of Fame. Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, guys with really bad moral character are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So it's not a standard of are your morals good. It's a standard of were you a good baseball player. So having said that, now that he is eligible, he still needs to be voted in by the Baseball Writers of America.
Yeah.
The Rob Manfred doesn't put people into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The baseball writers do. And those guys, talk about some cranky middle-aged and later guys. I don't think they're going to vote him in.
Yeah.
Like if Mark McGuire and Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens,
Roger Daltrey.
Roger Daltrey,
He's not in.
Roger the Rabbit. If all of these guys are not in the Baseball Hall of Fame,
not
I don't
in.
think that Pete Rose is going in there. And then my second thing, and then I'll kick it over to my broadcast partner, Dodd of the Rotadod. Baseball is now in bed with gambling. Times have changed since Pete Rose was a manager of the Cincinnati Reds. You cannot turn on a baseball game, a broadcast, ESPN, Fox Sports, any of the podcasts. Colin Cowherd now is 80% talking about lines and odds and the under-overs.
Within his show.
Within the show.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit hypocritical.
It's not a little bit, it's a lot of it.
For baseball.
That's the point.
To basically say our biggest ad revenue generator going forward is gambling. Let's be draconian in terms of gambling.
Yeah.
So I just think that to me is the irony above all ironies.
Yeah.
He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And then one more thing.
Oh, boy.
Ichiro is the hit king. He had professional baseball hits that takes him beyond Pete Rose. He is the real hit king. This thing where everything has to happen in America needs to go away. He is a professional baseball player. He hit the ball professionally. Japan is a good league. Those hits should count.
Yeah. No, I thought we've talked about it for years, and especially when we used to do sports radio. Is there a difference between what the player did on the field and what they did off the field? You look at football. Look at the Football Hall of Fame. When you get a moment, Jason Kelsey, who was winning a Super Bowl, 2 years ago, is almost a 300-pound center for the Philadelphia Eagles. Take a look at him. Just look at him. He looks like he weighs 190 pounds now. Look at Moose Johnson, who used to be this huge fullback for the Dallas Cowboys. And now when you see Moose Johnson on a broadcast, he has shrunk down to the level that Jason Kelsey's at. I remember talking with Brock Heward. He says hello, by the way. We were texting earlier today. But I had asked him, I said, hey, if you were...
And Brock Heward, a UW quarterback, and then played in the league.
I said,
backed up Peyton Manning.
I said, if you were to really take a look at guys in the NFL that have used human growth hormones or steroids and have done that illegally and against the rules, I said, if you walked into a locker room and you were going to test all those guys at one time, how many of those guys would test positive? And he said somewhere between 60 and 70%.
Right.
So that's the majority of football players are cheating, which tells me that the majority of football players that are in the Hall of Fame have probably cheated at some point, right? Baseball, you go back and you look at the Mariner team like 95 and then up through 2001. I mean, just look at those guys. And I don't know anything about Edgar. I just look at Edgar when you look at him during his playing days, and for some reason, no one ever questioned Edgar. Look at Edgar during his playing days. Look at the other Mariners during the time that Edgar was playing, and then look at Edgar after he retired. He looks like Jason. And again, I don't know anything about Jason Kelsey. I don't know anything about Edgar. I don't know anything about Moose Johnson.
In that team, though, you bring up, like, when you looked at Griffey Jr. and his build, and as he got out of the league, he has the same build.
Right.
Like, he always had that big trunk and a big butt and big hips, like muscular, and that was his physique. He still has that physique.
Yeah, and I remember when we were playing softball, celebrity softball, and I remember talking to Jay Buhner, and this is nothing about his playing days, but he had no problem sharing. It was Dan Wilson's team against Jay Buhner's team, and so we were out there playing celebrity softball at what was Safeco Field, and all those guys, those former players, were talking about testosterone and how they've used testosterone as they've gotten older, because Buhner still has this amazing physique. I don't know if those guys are doing that when they were playing, but chances are, especially again, you go back to those Mariner teams. And then certainly during the time of McGuire and Sosa, it wasn't just McGuire and Sosa. So McGuire and Sosa get caught. They're no longer allowed, I guess, to go into the Baseball Hall of Fame. But there's so many other guys, when we look across sports, that have used things like human growth hormone and steroids.
So is gambling a different category, though? Because with
gambling, you made the point, and
I
I was going to make that point too. You made the point, and I see sometimes some of these young guys. There was a guy last year that got kicked out of the National Football League because he got caught gambling on an app, and yet the app that he got caught gambling on, that app advertises every time he would step out on the field and play in an NFL game. So the message that the NFL is sending, and the NBA and everybody else, they looked and they saw that more money was being made on gambling than we are making in the National Football League right now. They're making $20 billion on gambling, and the NFL at that time was only bringing in $11 billion a year. So the NFL looked at that and they said, we got to jump in and be a part of this control. Same thing with seats. The NFL looked at this and said, look at all these people that are buying seats and they're selling them aftermarket. We got to get involved with selling our own seats aftermarket, and that's exactly what they've done. So it is very hypocritical to be firing young men in the National Football League for using an app, and that same app it's being used to pay for that broadcast and for the NFL and the NFL owners
and last year
to make money.
Shohei Ohtani involved in one of the biggest gambling scandals in baseball history, and his interpreter goes down for everything. Then he has the first 50-50 season ever, and I love the guy. But it's like it's very ironic and unevenly handed.
Has millions of dollars missing, and you didn't know that
because he makes a lot of money in Japan.
Yeah. Hey, you guys. More in a minute.
Thanks for being a part of the Ron and Don Nation. Subscribe to the Nation News at ronanddonsitdown.com. A behind-the-scenes look at everything Ron and Don.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, if you need us, ronanddonsitdown.com. Before we go, a lot of people making summer traveling plans.
Yep.
And along with those traveling plans, you see a lot of stories about summer traveling plan hacks that we should be using. And I'm just wondering, the hacks that we use, could you use those not in the summer? Could you use those in the fall or the spring?
You can use them anytime you want.
Okay. Ron is Mr. Traveling Man around here. What kind of hacks do you got?
So
for us?
I'm interested to get your take on this because you sent me this article, and the thrust of the article is, what are the things that you should bring in addition to make your life better? You should add to your travel package when you go. And they even talked about Dave Sims, who was the Mariners voice, and now he works for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And he brings all kinds of stuff on the road, but he's on the road a lot,
Right.
like 82 games a year, and he's traveling all the time. So I think he brought his own tea set up, or it might have been coffee or whatever. And so
he makes his own beer.
He makes his own beer.
He travels with his own ribeyes.
So when I was reading this, I was thinking, I've gone the opposite direction, and I've encouraged you and people that I travel with to go the opposite direction. So the first thing, my first travel hack, if you will, is I've created these little kits that for common, if something bad goes down.
I have a kit. You gave a kit to my son. We just, when we went up and down the 101, we both took our kits and we both used our kits. When I went to Iceland, boy, I was really lucky that you gave me that kit because there were specific things, especially the plugins were European in Iceland, and I didn't know that. So there was something in the kit that handled that. And then also at one point, I was sitting up in the hotel room. There's a massive storm outside, and the cord to plug in my phone wasn't working. And you gave me some different cords that were in the kit. And then also at one point, I'd cut my finger. There was a Band-Aid in the kit.
So, I've made they're
really
little
great.
tiny kits about on YouTube. You can see about the size that I'm holding up.
Yeah.
And in it, I put all the stuff you just said: flashlight, phone charger, batteries, a pen.
There's a sandwich in mine.
A spoon,
a peanut butter and jelly.
a little notebook. I put 20 euros in there, et cetera, et cetera. Different kinds of tape. There's duct tape and waterproof tape and all these things. So that, but it's very small.
Yeah.
So I take that there. And then my thing now is to take less stuff. And my theory being this: why would I want to pack my own coffee or tea maker?
When you have a girlfriend, and you can pack all your stuff in her suitcase,
Exactly.
and then she can carry those 12 bags.
My thing in going and traveling somewhere is I want to experience the stuff that is there, not the stuff that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
So if I'm in Iceland, what's an Iceland coffee shop
Ice.
like? Yeah, and they get iced coffee.
Yeah.
And so my thing is take less.
Why not have an iced coffee?
You're in Iceland. Might as well.
You're in Iceland. I didn't do that.
You should have.
I'm going
You should
back.
have iced coffee
I did
in Iceland.
not have an iced coffee Why was in Iceland?
You
What
should
was
have.
I thinking?
You should have.
Flying over there, I'm looking down, nothing but ice.
You should have said
When I'm leaving,
iced
you
coffee.
fly over Greenland, there's nothing but ice. Why didn't I have an iced coffee?
So I would say I'm going to push back against this article and say take
Dumbass Dawn over here.
no ice. You missed an opportunity.
I'm gonna pack ice in the little.
So take less
carry-on
stuff,
container.
less clothing, less shoes. Have your little emergency kit, and then whatever you need.
Let's be careful about less clothing, though. I don't want you to have less clothing.
No, but some people bring 4 jackets and
Get
9
older, I
sweatshirts.
don't want you to have more clothing.
So and then whatever you need, they have it there.
You just buy it.
Yeah, if you really, really need something,
Yeah.
and you're in a different place, buy it there.
I did that. I bought some Iceland.
Ice.
No, I there was this pottery there, and I bought like this bowl and this plate, and so I went up and I bought it. I was going to give it to you, and then when I went and bought it, I had no idea that I'm like in this art store, and it was like $500.
Yeah.
I couldn't unwind the deal.
Why not?
Well, I already committed to buying this Viking cup and this bowl and
I
this
thought you
plate.
were a master negotiator.
So, well, I didn't have the exchange rate figured out.
So you got home like, oh
So
wow.
I went and, no, I figured it out there when they were ringing it up, and then she's like, hey, because then when you're going through customs, you have to worry about what you're
Tariffs.
Yeah, and I didn't know you
to declare what its value
yeah.
is.
So I said I lied. I said it was worth $50. I paid $500 for it, and I'm like, I can't give you a $500 gift. I'm hanging on to it. So it's in my cupboard. I haven't used it because I'm
Use the
so
plate.
afraid to use it because I'll get a chip on it or something. So it's still in the plastic wrap. It's from Iceland, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this damn thing? Because it's too expensive to give to you. And at the same time, it's too expensive for me to use. So I got this gift from Iceland.
Here's the thing.
And I don't know what to do with it. And it's not like you can return it.
You are 2/3 of the way to old age where you start hanging plates on your wall.
I'm not hanging a plate on my wall. It's
You're almost there.
I have some.
You're going to have
baskets.
display plates.
I have a couple baskets. Yeah. So anyway, any other?
Take less.
Take less.
Take less. Have an emergency kit, and then whatever you need, buy it there.
Yeah. And then to wear the same clothes.
And you don't need a nice hotel room. Get a decent hotel room.
That's where you're
Because
wrong.
if you're spending too much time in your hotel room, you're doing it wrong.
Oh.
Come to the hotel room, you sleep, take a shower, and then go explore where you are.
When I travel, I still want to know that I'm in a Pringles hotel.
A what hotel?
A Pringles hotel.
Oh.
I want to know it's a nice enough hotel that when I walk in there and I open up a drawer, there's some Pringles in there they're going to be like $30 Pringles, but I like a Pringles hotel.
Are you going to St. Louis or something?
It has to be that nice. What's that?
Do they have that in Iceland?
They had Pringles in the hotel.
Over there, they call them chips.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really have any acts for traveling, other than be careful
Spend more.
about spending too much money
On plates.
not understanding the exchange rate. I literally thought I was buying like a cup and a bowl.
Oh, I've done it.
For you.
We've all done
and
it.
I'm like, I'll spend $50 on Upshaw. I'll do that. And then when they rung it up and it was $500, I'm like, I have too much pride. I couldn't unback.
That was
I couldn't back up. And I guess that I bought like some art. And I don't even know. I don't know.
That was my Japanese knife I bought in Japan. It was like,
Yeah.
it's already engraved. I was like, ooh. I did that exchange rate wrong. Sorry about that, eh?
Yeah. Hey, you guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Ron and Don Show. We sure do appreciate it. Don't forget we're on YouTube now. That's Ron and Don TV. Thanks for the 2 million hits on our podcast. And if you need some help with your real estate journey, just reach out.
Yeah, you can go to ronadonsitdown.com. If you're a buyer, a seller, or an investor, or if you want to refer us to someone that you know is jumping into real estate and they need brokers they can trust, refer us there as well. You can reach out. We have a form right there, or you can just email me, ron@ronadon.com.
Yeah. And if we sell a $3 million house for you, boy, do I have a gift for you at home waiting for you from Iceland in my cupboard.
And I'll give you some free iced coffee.
Yeah. If you need a Ron and Don ebook, we'll send that to you if you're buying or selling. Also, don't forget to get signed up for the Nation News and follow us on social media. He's Ron Upshaw. I'm Don O'Neill. So if you want to interact with us, we're always interacting with people on our social media. So we probably more so on Facebook, but absolutely on Instagram and same.
On Instagram.
I'm
not on TikTok.
Are you doing Thread stuff?
Every once in a while, I think
people do Threads?
It automatically posts on Threads.
Is it
because it's on Facebook?
Okay. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Till next time, you keep your head up and your shoulders back. And don't forget, you've been listening to the Ron and Don Show only on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Ron and Don Show. Please hit subscribe.